Welcome to Emotional Intelligence Simplified. This is a weekly podcast focused on demystifying and discussing what emotional intelligence is. Demystifying what emotional intelligence is has become the main agenda for Profiles International as they continue in their quest to molding cultures. This podcast seeks to explore the everyday story through the lens of emotional intelligence. We discuss the key elements of emotional intelligence that allows people to connect with others, collaborate effectively, and make more effective decisions, whether at the workplace or in our personal lives. Join us as we explore with our guests the elements of emotional intelligence and other key areas such as well-being, creating safety in your area of influence, growing each day in resilience, and so much more. I am Angela Mwihaki, an emotional intelligence practitioner and coach, and also a professional mediator and broadcaster. Welcome to Emotional Intelligence Simplified. My name is Angela Mwihaki, and I am an emotional intelligence practitioner. Today, we are joined by Vicky Karuga from Profiles International. Hi, Vicky.
Hi, Mwihaki.
How you doing?
I am doing solid.
Excellent, huh?
Yeah.
Now, the last time we were here, we talked about self-awareness and, how we need to build up on all these issues of self-awareness. And then we kind of touched on what we're talking about today. And we talked about empathy and sympathy. And I remember I had a really a bulb moment, a aha moment where we discovered sympathy is, I'm sorry for you. And we said empathy was, how can I be there for you?
I'm here for you.
I'm here for you. No, okay, yeah, fine. I am here for you. So let's start from there. So let's talk more about empathy. Let's understand it.
Okay. So sympathy. Actually, there's a very good YouTube channel called by everyone knows Brene Brown.
Yes.
So it's called, I think, Sympathy or Empathy. Sympathy and Empathy. Sympathy versus empathy, anyway. So if you can't just look it up, it is an animation. One of the best things that, or the best explanations I've seen so far in terms of what is empathy and what is empathy. So I think she says empathy is connection. She actually talks about that empathy has 4 things. I can't remember all of them, but one of them was the ability to step into someone else's shoes. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to step into people's shoes.
Yeah, the ability to feel and without judgment. And then she makes a joke and says, which is so hard for some of us to do, the part for judgment.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you must be able to connect with someone. And for you to connect with someone, you have to be able to connect with something in you that kind of feels what that other person might be feeling.
So is this the part of the walking into the shoes, walking in the shoes? And is it wearing the shoes? Is it walking in them? What are we doing?
We are just listening. In fact,
but she said the first one was walk in the shoes.
You must be able to walk in the shoes. I put a disclaimer here because I have a habit of paraphrasing people's works
simplifying it to the way you got it.
To the way that I got it.
Exactly.
So I'll invite people to go and watch it and simplify it in the way that but it just basically means being able to take another person's perspective without judgment, which
That's
is really hard.
Not judging.
Without judgment. And for you to do that, you have to be able to connect with people. And connection means being able to feel somehow or connect with something in you that is like what they might be feeling. And that is why it sits with awareness of others. But key to empathy is the art of listening, the art of just being. So let me share a very personal example. I went through a very difficult time in a few months ago. Someone very dear to me was hurt.
Okay.
And I remember it was a very difficult time for me. I didn't want, I wanted to be with this person. At the same time, I had a lot of anxiety around this person. And what I found was that when people called me to tell me pole, there were 2 kinds. The first one was, "Hi, Vicky, I'm so sorry. Gosh, that shouldn't happen to anyone. Oh my goodness, let me tell you what happened to me. Hey, mama, na. Then do you what happened? I just want to tell you, these things happen, Vicky. These things happen. Just take heart. Be strong. Be strong." I did not want to see or hear anyone telling me that.
Yeah.
So I actually stopped taking calls.
Yeah.
And I had the second type of person who just say, "Hey, Vicky, how are you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay. So what do you need? What do you want?"
Wow.
And I'm like, "No, I think I'm cool." And some people would just come and sit with me. And they'd sit with me outside there in the balcony. We talk about nothing. And at my own time, I'd be able to express
what you're feeling.
What I was feeling at a particular time. So actually, if you watch, and what happens is when people first interrupt you and start comparing your grief with their grief at a certain particular point in time, it's totally
extremely insensitive
and disconnects you.
And they may not even be aware.
Yes, because we do this all the time. Yeah. Even I do it all the time. Like, even me. Let me tell you what happened. This day. Don't worry. You lost your job. Don't worry. Me, kwanza, let me tell you what happened to another friend of mine. Yeah, she was just like that. Yeah, I'm telling you. You're not really understanding that at that point in time, this person is going through a lot of emotional turmoil. Yes. When they are ready, they will reach out to you and you guys can laugh about it. But
this is not the time.
This is not the time.
Yeah.
So you also find sometimes when people use things like, at least, at least just look on count your blessings.
Like trivializing.
But the feeling is heavy.
Yes.
So separate yourself from the event. Think about the feeling that this person is going through. Because it's heavy.
It is.
Nothing negates it. Nothing made it easier for me to bear what I was bearing. Nothing. No. It didn't matter who came. It didn't matter what they gave me. I had to go through the pain and come out on the other side. All I wanted was friends who were able to sit with me to ensure that I wasn't sinking, because that's another thing. So they were kind of watching me go through it, because you have to go through it. And I remember these were the people I was connected to. I felt like I connected with them. And in fact, when I wanted to speak, those were the first people I called. But the guys who would give me an example, at least, I'm sorry to say this. Let's pray about it. I am sorry. It's a good thing, but
not what you need then.
Sometimes it comes also from a place of lack of acknowledgement. You just want to feel heard. You want to feel seen. You want to feel that people have, people understand.
People got you. Yes. We can't explain it any other way.
Yeah, because
there are people around me. Someone has my back.
Yeah,
that's it.
You can't feel what someone else is going through. You can't.
No.
And in fact, there's a little research that was done, and it showed that if you have been through what I am going through right now, chances are that you might not be able to be empathetic enough to me, because especially if you went through the thing and you were successful in getting out of it, you might then imagine that I will also be successful.
You might assume.
Yes. So you start wondering, why am I not getting out?
What's taking with you?
Exactly. Yeah. So you just get over yourself. These things happen all the time.
Wow.
Yeah. You don't know my circumstance. You don't know what that means to me. You don't know how I process my emotions, how I process failure, how I process all these things. So I start thinking also that the way out is one way, the way that I took. But it's not the only way out. There are many other ways.
Many other options.
So your work is to really just help me process, pick my way and get out. So there you go.
This is heavier than it's deep. This is, should see me looking for the words.
What are the words?
No, there are no words. That's the thing, because so like you said, sometimes we think it is easy, or we think because I did it, kwani what's so hard?
Yeah. And sometimes we
like you said, no judgment.
No judgment.
Don't judge.
Don't judge.
Don't have expectations.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes we do because it's, the way we've learned to answer things. So, gosh, I'm so sorry, Mwihaki. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Gosh. Anyway, then just know that we are there for you.
Yeah, we are here. Just a phone call
Just a phone call. Anyway, and these things happen. So don't worry. Yeah.
Is anyone cringing? Because a part of me is cringing, going, ouch, ouch.
And we do it because it's.
And sometimes you mean well. You really do mean well. You do care. Maybe you don't have the words, because I think one thing we don't have really is the words to express ourselves.
And that's
we have not
okay.
been taught yet.
And that's okay. Yeah, say hi. I'm really sorry. I don't know what to say. In fact,
that's enough.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Just if you need anything, and then just be there. If someone wants to talk for 3 hours and you have the time, okay, you also have to have the time, and just sit. And I remember sometimes we think that the things we are sharing are effective or are what can I say, are useful for that person.
Are inspirational, are encouraging.
Yeah. They're not.
Sometimes silence is better.
And sometimes people keep quiet because they just don't have the energy to tell you better. And that's why sometimes you're talking to someone and she raps with you and you're like, Haja, me, I was just here to condole with you. What has happened? Yeah, because it's just too much. So empathy is just really active connection. It's active connection because it means I am sitting here and I'm trying to understand. I'm not trying to tell you.
No.
Telling is more passive because I'm not trying to understand you. I've already decided what I'm going to tell you anyway. Hi, Mwihaki. I'm so sorry. But anyway,
it's okay,
You know, these things.
It could have been worse.
You haven't even given me space to start saying what I'm talking about. You've just started prescribing things about. So I haven't felt hard. So that's what I'm saying. Empathy is the more active way of understanding people. Sympathy is more about, me.
You.
Yes. Me releasing my need to tell you I'm sorry to you.
I'm telling you, I am. You know that one of Bila words. Hey, I have walked in those shoes. We really need to. Yeah, so we need to ask ourselves, really, do we need to be sympathetic or empathetic? Definitely not sympathetic.
Yeah. Just listen to your
conversation. So those are the skills we need to learn. It's true, especially when you've undergone a big loss and people come and tell you things and you're thinking, what are you telling me? Yeah, and a big loss is a relative. So me losing my job for you, you've failed. I remember there was a guy who told us he got fired 5 times. By the 5th time, he felt nothing. But you've lost your job. The first time your world is over.
Exactly. So I mean, we all have different ways and different depths of grief. So, and it can be caused by anything from a boyfriend to a pet, to a phone with all your contacts. Stolen. It's gone. It's done. And you hadn't saved it on Google Drive. You were still trying to fight with technology. So you've learned another hard lesson. And me, I'm there telling you, next time, you should know better. So just always back up. Yeah, please. And that time, man, the poor girl. Anyway, that's how the world is. The world is harsh. The world will teach you. The world will teach you. So just take the lessons with grace, Mwihaki. Just take the lessons with grace. So again, now from a leadership perspective, or from even a workplace perspective, or from even a parent-child perspective, or a friend-to-friend, or even family perspective, sibling, now you can see how some of the conversations you have can be very ineffective. Yeah, and can cause rifts and misunderstandings that go on for years. And people to disconnect. With you. You say this person withdrew, they don't like talking to us, all those, they're just not coming to the table. We don't know what happened. It's how you made them feel. So we're looking at empathy. So we said we definitely need to be more empathetic than sympathetic. So what are the signs? What are the true signs we need to look at as to be able to see how empathetic we are? Other than the choice of words that we use, because okay, that's a place to start. Just seeing the narrative. First, the narrative that I've just had you, and it's just come a flashback over and over. I can even see faces and characters saying things, and then I'm also seeing scenes of me saying things, and I'm like, oh my God, you give me a rock I hide. Ooh. Mine is I have two that I have to catch myself all the time. One of them is at least. Because I'm always looking on the bright side. Yeah. Yes. I'm like, look on the bright side. At least you have this. And I've done that so many times. I'm like, oh my goodness, I wasn't really listening. I was just trying to make the person feel good.
I know, because when I try to be an optimist, I'm always like, oh, it could have
been worse.
Or something. Or I'm trying to look for something to be happy about. And you can't always have something to be happy about. Ouch.
You can't.
Ouch.
So I think that's a good place to start. And then the other thing of when you're having conversations, are you listening more than you're talking? That's a very good indicator. And if you're talking more than the other person, then
we have a problem.
Yes, you're not listening. You're not actively listening.
Yeah.
Are you that person who's developing that what do you call it? Who's becoming more aware of other people? Do you accurately observe? And you can know whether you accurately observe by, seeking for feedback. For example, when I see you do a certain thing, I'm like, are you angry? And if I respond back to, yes, I am, then I know, I'm getting good at this. I can actually tell the difference. Yeah,
that
things
your
like
sense
that.
of perception is improving.
Yeah, and I can ask you something like, hey, you look a bit down. Is it because you're hungry? Or, hey, my God, what happened today? You're a bit off. Oh, yeah, I've been feeling like, ding, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So that as well. And then if you're good at telling, when you're listening to people, you're a good judge of what are they saying? What do they mean? And you're able to start having
read in between the lines.
Reading between the lines, then you're getting there. And if you find it difficult to set boundaries in relationships, it means that you're a bit too empathetic.
Okay, that one I'm lost. You find it hard to create boundaries like, this is how far we're going. We can't talk. Don't take it beyond this.
You're too caring. You're
caring too much.
You're caring too much. You're trying to find reason. This person has stepped on you, has moved the boundary from here. They've gone. Then chances
they've gone round the corner and you're still following.
Exactly. And so now that's the downside again to being too empathetic, because if you're always trying to listen to people and understand them, and
you're making excuses for them.
Bang on.
Because she was sick when she was a child. She did what?
You're always thinking about how will they feel, how will other people feel. So there are things also you haven't dealt with there. How will this come across when I say
this
like
guy say,
this?
what will people think? I think you need to stop that one. Okay, so we get it. And also sometimes if people open up to you, I think that also lets you know that they trust you. If somebody can come and share a challenge or a problem, or they tell you how they're feeling.
Yeah.
They look, another one looking, they come and look for you.
Yeah.
I think that kind of shows that they feel comfortable in you. You're a safe space.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good listener. So things to watch out for is some people will naturally be more empathetic than others. So just make sure that, again, in self-awareness, understand what is this causing for you? Is it allowing you to have relationships that are not useful for you or not effective for you? Don't even judge it for anything else other than, okay, I have certain habits that are not working, which I need to act upon. And that is that I'm naturally a person who listens. I'm naturally a person who cares deeply about other people, and a person who tries to look for the good
best in people.
So this is not working, and it's causing, because again, when you're too empathetic,
you can't carry everybody's load.
Exactly.
It becomes, you're now at night in your house thinking about other people.
Exactly.
That's draining for you.
It is draining.
And you have no time for you.
In fact, I think during COVID, there was a lot of what people termed as empathy burnout. It was too much. People did too much. However, there is a lot of good and a lot of benefit in terms of being that person who is able to lend an ear, come across as empathetic to the people that hang around them. Yeah.
So how would I signal that I'm empathetic? How do we help people have that perception?
You don't signal. You practice the art of listening.
So the fact that, just listening will let people know you're empathetic?
You practice the art of listening. You practice the art of anticipating others, understanding others. And that is how you're able to even tell when someone is being manipulative or not, when someone is being honest or not, because you listen. You really, really listen. You're not just listening. You're like, this one is a genuine case, but this one, we need to investigate further because this and this is not adding up.
It's not consistent.
Yeah. And a lot of effective people in the world are able to do that because they know where is my attention required because they have listened. Where do I need to spend my energy? I think there's a lot of discussion right now about energies and where my energies is feeling, what is it called? Blossomy or
my son. You've gone those sides.
Yeah. But we all have, we were all blessed with different well, I'll call
energies and frequencies.
And it's more, I think for me, I normally call it attention. And for that, it means that you have to be aware where you're going to spend it. So you brought a very good case when it came to self-awareness. You talked about you in a traffic jam. And these people are overlapping on the wrong side.
Yes, and they're passing you and really there's not much you can do.
If you choose to engage, you're using your body's energy.
Yeah.
And you will yell. And when you get to the office,
you're flustered, you're in a bad mood.
You don't have the energy. You spent it already.
You wasted it.
So when something comes that really needs your attention, chances are that you will not handle it effectively. So that is how people learn, where am I going to spend this thing called energy? Is it on the traffic? Is it on that matatu and the tout? Or is it on this email that I've just received that says that hell is breaking loose somewhere that needs all my attention? Is it on my friend who's having a difficult time and so needs my support? Therefore, I need to be there for them. Is it on my family? Have a small child at home. That's why you find sometimes as young mothers, because we are not cultivating that awareness of where are we expending our energies. We burn out.
You'd get drained.
You're at work. You're giving
didn't
everything.
Sleep because the baby had a cold.
At some point, you can't go on.
You're a zombie.
So you need to set your boundaries. You need to understand that, the cliche, you can't do all, be all, but you can be intelligent about the things that you pick. So where do you want to spend your energy? You want to be with your family, or you love your career, still effective. So you're going to hire like 10 nannies and spend a lot of time growing your career. Either way, you're not going to die or create a sustainable expectation because you're aware of the fact that you can't do everything for everyone. So now we have digressed.
We have digressed, but let's get back to the empathy bit and how we're saying how when we listen to people, we're able to understand. You're also able to assess people, to tell who is being honest, who's not being honest. But you've also said we have to be able to balance it.
Yeah.
We have to be able to balance that bit of I'm out there. Don't put yourself out there too much. You get a drain. Also balance in terms of like how we're saying, how do you strike that balance between home, work, me? Because sometimes we forget the me.
Yeah.
We're there for the everything else. So now let's look at the types of empathy, because I know there are different types of empathy. So there is affective empathy. What is affective empathy? It just sounds like a lot of kizungu.
Yeah.
Affective, not effective.
Affective, I believe, coming from affection, has to do with the emotional understanding of someone and feeling concerned for another person's well-being. But it's very emotional. So it may lead to my feeling of distress because I'm trying to think about what you're going through. It's from a very emotional point of view, and it ends there. It doesn't move further than that.
So you just emotionally relate with me?
Yes, I do.
It might I might get drained.
Well, if I'm appropriate about it, no, like, yeah, I feel you. I really feel you. And I realize it's too much, but like, I have to leave now.
Yeah, but what have you done for me? That's for you.
That's the other fallacy, eh? That
if I feel, it doesn't mean I'm impacting you. Does it? If I tell you, Vicky, I really feel what you're going through. I really, really, really feel.
Full stop.
That's it. Has it helped you?
Okay. Let's first get one thing straight and clear. We are all able to solve our own problems.
Absolutely.
That's a truth. When we are not able to solve our own problems, we need help from professionals.
Yes.
So you're not going to help?
No.
Yes. So there is nothing else you can do for a person unless they tell you.
True.
Yeah.
Because even when I come and I say I'm here for you, you're the one to tell me what else I can do. Do I give you a cup of tea? Do I go and cook supper? Do I do something?
Yes. And when I notice that you're getting to a stage where I think it's not very healthy, I have to be able to realize that you need help and take you where you're needed. Or rather,
Or get the help for you.
But there's this whole, I remember sitting in a forum and some women talked about how, you don't need to go see a shrink. Just come talk to us. There are some places that you cannot be helped.
Because sometimes you need a safe space and you need somebody who understands.
And even in those conversations, the belief is always that there's nobody helpless. It's just that sometimes your mind can't see or hasn't thought through. Yes.
So you need someone to just guide you back.
A professional to be able to do that for you.
And that's why these days we have a lot of talk on mental health.
Yeah.
And people just need to understand it's the same way when you have a cold that is not going, you go to the doctor and get treated.
Yeah.
Get a professional to help you even through your mental health issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a cough in the head. That is not going
imagine a coughing.
Okay, well, I don't put it that way. It might seem a bit insensitive, but I guess what I'm saying is
it's a block. It's something that needs treated.
Yes, it is. And if I remember, we talked about humanizing it in that a lot of people won't talk about it. A lot of people won't want to go do it because it doesn't seem like a normal thing.
They think it's a perception of weakness.
Or I'm very, very ill.
But no, it's not. It's like how, okay, I think maybe this would be a better way of looking at it. Mm-hmm. When there's a problem with a car, you don't think twice.
No,
whether
you don't think twice.
Sound or there's a what sound or a what, you will take the car and it's not a sign of weakness.
Yes.
So I think we should start looking at it that way, that getting help is not a bad thing.
Yeah. There's a guy called Adam Grant. He's a psychologist. He also writes, and I actually agree with him when he says mental health is a habit. So what that means is that it's not something we wait till the end of the day or the end of when we are we're almost dying to go to. There are very many strategies and that you can actually use to guard yourself every day against mental burnout, mental fatigue, emotional fatigue, having great emotional health. I think we should talk about emotional health in one of our podcasts.
We'll definitely write that down as one of them.
Because emotional health is very, very important for you in terms of, it's one of the strategies for mental health, taking care of yourself every day. So it's not just the same way as if you want to keep fit, you don't do one long workout once a month.
Exactly. It has to be consistent. 2-3 times a week, you're doing something.
Yeah. So the same thing, if you want to fortify yourself, you want to develop resilience, you want to ensure that you're living a sustainable mental life, then you have to also have certain habits around your own mental well-being. For example, one of the things I say is that you have to take care of your core needs. Your core needs, 1, you have to sleep enough.
Yes.
That is a non-negotiable. 2, you have to eat well. That is a non-negotiable. 3, you have to have a friend or two who you can pour everything out to, or just
say
go out
anything,
to it.
everything,
or
nothing.
You have to have a circle of friends that just make you feel good. Yeah. So that's non-negotiable. And then the 4th one is that you also have to learn to take time out to declutter your brain, because you clutter it with so many things. You have to actually craft some time out to realign things. Those are non-negotiables. You have to put them somewhere in your either daily or weekly routine.
I think you've now brought us, maybe we'll refer to this because I know one of the episodes they're going to listen to is Derek Banga, who was telling us about his morning ritual. And he said for him it's very important, clarity of mind and everything else. And he talks about how he wakes up in the morning and the first thing he does is he thinks and he says he's going to be superb, superior. So he's like rallying his mind. He says that's how he gets up. That's what gives him jazz. I'm going to be superb, superior. So that's how he's going to wake up and that's how he's going to show up. Then he's going to do his exercise. And he says, yes, he takes time to get his mind ready. He says he doesn't look at his phone. He doesn't look at his computer or anything. The first thing he does in the morning is get his frame of mind ready. So that when he gets out of that house, he appears super superb. Spirit said he kept using that. And I was like, wow, do we ever think about how we start our day?
Yeah.
How do we intention it? So so these are things we need to learn to do for ourselves.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things to take us through anything is purpose. But sometimes people think purpose is a big thing. Like I should have a purpose for my life, which is true. You should have a purpose why you do things. But there is so much more power in giving yourself purpose every day. Super, superb, superior is purpose. I'm going to be super today. I'm going to be superb. I'm going to be superior. For some people, it's as easy as always picking one thing in the day to accomplish. Once they do that, they're super. Today, when you wake up, before you touch everything else, thinking through, my to-do list has only one item.
Yes.
And it's going to be this.
And I must accomplish this.
And I must everything else, if it's done, is okay. But this is the one. And that's your focus. And you find that if you create that habit, you actually do a lot more. And people wake up like, oh my God, okay, where are we going?
No, I call it this thing of, it's either a reaction of, good God, morning? Or is it, good morning, God? Which one is it?
God, I've laughed too hard.
Because it happens to some people. Because those you wake up and you're like, good morning, God. Yeah, it's a good day. Then you just took good God, morning. Yeah, now. So that's a teaser. Make sure you do listen to that episode with David Banga. Let's get back to where we are, where we're discussing the issues of empathy. Now, we've talked about affective empathy. We're now going to look at somatic empathy.
So this is where we actually experience something because of other people physically. So I may throw up when I see you hurt. There are people who just
wow.
So they actually experience it in their body.
It's physical.
It's a physical reaction, and and of course now that does other things. It might mean that they might not want to see you or be near you. Maybe you have a stomach pain. For example, sometimes you may when you see someone crying, you can.
Kwanza me, please, sympathy. The tears just flew over. It never used to happen, but for the last quite a few years, the tears just, they come by themselves. Even me, I'm like, where are you coming from? And they flow. You cry, we cry. And I don't know what to do with them.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. It never used to, but now it does. Yeah, and even cartoons, mushy places, man, it becomes too sad. I find tears. I'm like, where are you coming from?
Well, you're exercising your emotional system.
My eyes have decided to do things without my permission.
Yeah, well, it's a physical reaction most of the time, and you don't know why it happens. I think my son has somatic empathy. Yeah, it does.
We will get on together. People cry.
Yeah.
It never used to happen. Now, so I guess, EI has made a difference in my life, people. You hear? Mpaka now, even my somatic empathy is there. I have become another person. Let's talk about cognitive sympathy.
So this is more now where we're able to recognize. So I'm able to recognize that I'm trying to understand what you're feeling, what you're going through, what your mental state might be, and how you might be responding to the situation. So it's more logical thinking through than it. The other two are more reactions from an emotional perspective, from a physical perspective. And this is what psychologists refer to as the theory of the mind, or thinking about what other people are thinking. So what could you be? What could be the result? Why are you behaving the way you're behaving? So more about just basically trying to make sense.
Okay, trying to understand.
Trying to understand, yes. Yeah.
So that is now the cognitive one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it so for me to understand the situation and how to handle it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do we often use this?
I think we do. I think we do when we are aware of it.
Once we are aware, yes.
Yeah. And I think there's even cognitive empathy towards ourselves, especially when we start learning about the cognitive behavior therapy. So towards ourselves, I mean that we start also observing some of the habits that have been getting us to places we find ourselves and we don't want to be. So, that's cognitive.
So we start becoming more understanding and a bit more empathetic with ourselves.
So we can try and change.
And move to other ways,
yeah. But I think what we also need to do is probably get one of these days a psychologist in this program who can give us a lot more depth in terms of theory of the mind. What do you think?
I agree, because the mind is I've been reading things about the mind and I'm like, what? This thing called mind is dangerous. The other day I was reading about how the mind will, whatever you focus on, the mind will focus on the same thing and it will try and keep bringing those things to you.
Yeah.
And the
Superb,
things you don't
superior,
like,
and
yes. And and the things you don't like, it will avoid.
yeah.
What you like,
Yeah.
it likes, and
Yeah.
it will keep reinforcing. So if you have bad habits and you enjoy them, it will keep reinforcing.
Yeah.
So I remember like
Pain and
pleasure and pain. So I remember like there was a we had a session on something we're doing, and we're told, think of the kind of car you like. What's your dream car? Okay, I'm telling you, after that car, I have seen it everywhere. Everywhere, yeah. Traffic, it doesn't matter whether I'm on Kiamburu, wherever I am.
you've seen it.
So, and it's like, it's not that it wasn't there before.
Yeah. Yeah.
But suddenly, this twin cab, huge pickup, is the only thing I see. I'm not going to advertise the model, no. They
So
haven't
that's
paid me.
why that saying, was it by Aristotle or Hippocrates, whoever it is, as a man thinketh?
So he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wisdom in those things, even now from a scientific point of view. One thing I love about the age that we're in, there is so much information backed by research. You just have to go to the internet and Google the neuroscience of the brain, and you will find so many things supporting some of these everyday to-day things we are told. Like, yeah, as a man thinketh.
And so he is, yeah.
Because, yes, all these things, they talk about neural pathways, they talk about things that we form over time. These are supported by science.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking at. And so now we're looking about, so that was what we're saying, the cognitive empathy is about us trying to analyze and understand. Now, everything, of course, has its risks and its challenges. So what are some of the things we need to be aware about when we think of empathy?
I think I talked about it earlier. I talked about burnout, overstimulation, fatigue. You can actually get fatigued, both emotionally and physically, after being exposed to certain situations. I think one of the other things is the way we react. So you find that the first time you encounter something, you react strongly.
Yes.
The second time, not so strongly. The third,
So
the
it's
fourth,
like you
the
keep
fifth.
getting desensitized.
Yes. But if you're meeting the same thing over and over again and still reacting strongly because it's still eliciting a lot of strong emotion in you, then you can get exhausted. But like for doctors, nurses, trauma guys who, they see very, very difficult situations.
They get to a point where you almost think they're inhuman.
Yeah.
Because they're not rattled.
But they also have to safeguard themselves against a burnout in terms of sometimes even that's the mental health. Sometimes it's just about the empathy fatigue, because all the time you're listening, all the time you're trying to understand, even if the situations no longer razzle you as much as they did. Yeah. So fatigue, burnout is one of the things. I talked about not being able to set boundaries, which is a big one, especially when you feel so deeply for people. You can imagine being in a relationship that is not so good for you, and the fact that you tend to see the positive, try and
seeing
listen.
the positive.
Yeah.
So we need to be able to also now remove ourselves from there. But that's a challenge. How do you remove yourself from there?
How do you remove yourself from there? And then, of course, it affects your judgment. So I remember, sometimes people will say, emotionally intelligent people have to be soft. No.
Soft, why?
Because that's how
they're human beings
myth.
first.
Exactly.
We get angry, we get vexed, we're human.
But the thing is, since empathy is a strong component of EI, then we mistakenly think that over empathy is one of the things that we should have. So I'm talking about, for example, always understanding. Someone may think that I have a lot of EI because I'm always understanding, but that's not correct.
It's not a good thing.
No, it's not a good thing. I am not giving you feedback that you need to listen to and hear in order to improve yourself. And sometimes that feedback is difficult feedback. I need to know how to give it to you. I'm not involving myself in situations, or rather, maybe I'm being an ally to situations that at the end of it are a detriment to both you and me. So I'm not taking care of myself. And neither am I doing any favors to you. So back to self-awareness and being able to understand that perhaps you are more empathetic than other people. And if you don't know how to move the needle for you back to a balanced point of view, you could begin by just assessing situations and saying, okay, this is not working because I really feel for people. And the next time I go into another argument or another conversation, the same thing is happening. Ask for help. Read about it. Ask for someone to just give you...
talk to someone about it.
Yeah. Some of these things, just the same way as if you had a math problem, you would...
You'd find somebody and say, I'm stuck over here.
Yeah.
How does this calculate to this?
Exactly. And let someone else give you the 4-on-1. Oh, go to YouTube. My God, YouTube has everything. Type that question. I need to be less empathetic. Or
I might not even know I'm empathetic, but seek out knowledge. It's available.
Yes.
It's not how it was for us many years ago.
There is so much. There is how to. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Start with step 1 and see how step 1 works and come to step 2. Every single person now who you find is at that place you're calling your utopia, your best, has had a series of steps to get there. So
yes, it's a journey. You have to keep doing it. And I think the challenge, what you're posing is you have to be willing to do the work.
You have to
be awake. For you to be able to move, it is up to you. Everything is you. It's not, no one will do it for you. No one can do it for you.
Yeah.
But if you feel that you want to be a better person, then you have to take action.
Yeah. So at one point in my life, I asked myself, so why should I change? Why should I? This is the way I've been. I think I was 32. All my life. Gosh, 32, I thought it was all my life.
I am not speaking about ages and numbers.
So anyway, for all you 32-year-olds out there, it's not all your life. And I thought, why should I change? Yeah. And then it hit me that what if I grow to be 90? I'll have lived the majority part of my life in a way that I didn't want.
So now I need to change.
And that changed my perspective completely. And I realized that you can change at any point because you could live to be, even if you lived for another 10 years, you're still going to live 10 years in a manner that you don't want to live. Even one. So you just have to see your future is important as well. So it isn't, then if that is so, and changing takes time, then you have all the time you need to change.
So yes, change can begin today. And of course, it can start from empathy or sympathy. That's what we're looking at. We're just saying the possibilities are endless. And of course, you're on Emotional Intelligence Simplified, where we demystify the various elements of emotional intelligence and help you see just where you belong. And of course, we're looking forward to having you in our next episode, where we will be looking at
authenticity.
And that one, let me tell you, is a huge one. Authenticity. People name it's labeled with many things. So make sure you catch up with us. I'm Angela Mwihaki, and today we had with us Vicky Karuga from Profiles International. Remember, this is Emotional Intelligence Simplified.